What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into our first news. Bisping has given his reaction to the situation involving Jon Jones, Dana White, and the White House card. Recently, Jon apologized to Dana for how things unfolded with Tom Espinal, but despite the apology, Dana made it clear that his stance hasn't changed. He still doesn't see Jon being part of the historic White House event, and Bisping believes that decision makes sense. He explained that you simply can't blame Dana for being cautious after everything that has happened. Bisping pointed out that Dana had promoted Jon heavily, calling him the pound-for-pound #1 fighter. The UFC even released video packages to back that up, and reports surfaced that Jon was given around $30 million. Whether that exact number is true or not, it's clear that a lot of resources were invested into promoting him. And then, when the time came, Jon walked away, heading off to Thailand to live his best life. In the process, he left Tom Espinal sitting on the sidelines, uncertain about his future, and forced to wait. When an opportunity as big as the White House card came along, Jon suddenly shifted gears, wanting back in. But for Bisping, it's understandable why Dana wouldn't just welcome him with open arms after all of that. According to Bisping, if he were in Dana's shoes, his response would be simple. He'd tell Jon that if he really wants to be on the White House card, he needs to prove it first. He needs to step inside the octagon before then and show he's serious. After all, Jon is a heavyweight now, which means he doesn't have to deal with the struggles of cutting weight. The White House event isn't until next June, so there's plenty of time to book a fight beforehand. Bisping added that Jon himself has claimed he's been training consistently, spending 5 days a week in the gym, working on his skills. If that's true, then there should be no issue taking a fight soon. Bisping emphasized that with just a couple of months of real preparation, Jon has more than enough talent to step in and beat someone convincingly. That would silence the critics, show Dana that he's committed again, and also create the perfect setup for the fight everyone still wants to see, Jon against Tom Espinal. If both men go out there and get wins, it would build the hype and make the matchup even bigger when the White House card finally arrives. But the key factor, according to Bisping, is trust. Dana and the UFC need to feel confident that Jon is truly back and committed to competing, not just jumping in for the spectacle and then disappearing again. That's where the concern lies. As Bisping explained, the biggest worry is that no one really knows what Jon will do after a fight. He could win, he could dominate, but then just as quickly he could vanish, leaving the division stuck once more. For Dana, consistency and reliability matter more than star power when planning an event of this scale, and Bisping feels Dana's caution is completely justified given the history. Ultimately, if Jon truly wants the White House spotlight, he has to show everyone he's serious, step back in the cage before then, and prove he's not going to leave the sport hanging again. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We are constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That is why we truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update here on MMA Pulse News. Moving on to another news, Dana White delivered a truly powerful and emotional message to a brand new UFC signee who stepped into the octagon under heartbreaking circumstances. Just 72 hours before his fight on the Contender Series, the young fighter lost his father to cancer. Despite the unimaginable pain, he showed courage, resilience, and heart, and Dana White made sure to acknowledge that in front of the world. Dana said that life can be very cruel and unfair to a lot of people, and in this case, life had been extremely wrong to this young man. To see him overcome the mental and emotional toll of losing his father and still walk into the cage to compete was something remarkable. Dana praised his strength, saying he was really happy for him, proud of what he accomplished, and wished him nothing but the best in his UFC journey. Dana then turned directly to the fighter, Cody Cavanch, and gave him a heartfelt moment. He said that his last name will mean something one day, and he respected his drive and resilience. After everything he has been through, Dana promised him that he will have the opportunity to deliver on the promises he made to his family. He congratulated him warmly, officially welcoming him into the UFC and recognizing the magnitude of his achievement. The night wasn't just about signing a contract, it was about honoring a father's legacy. Another new signee, Sosa, expressed what the win and the UFC opportunity meant to him. He said dreams truly come true for those who work tirelessly to make them happen. For years, he had voices around him telling him that he would never succeed, voices of doubt that tried to hold hold him back, but he never believed them. Instead, he pushed forward, and now with the world watching, he declared that he will continue to represent Spain with pride. With his voice breaking, Sosa dedicated the victory to his father. He admitted he couldn't talk to him anymore, but emphasized that his father was the reason he was here, the reason he became the man he is today. Every ounce of discipline, sacrifice, and determination was born from his father's influence. He promised to carry that legacy forward, to represent his father's memory, and to make him proud every single time he steps into the octagon. Dana's words and the emotional dedication from these fighters reminded everyone that the UFC is about more than just competition. It's about resilience, sacrifice, and honoring the people who made the journey possible. Moving on to another news, Yoel Romero made his BKFC debut over the weekend and delivered a strong statement with a second-round TKO victory over Theo Dukas. Following that win, Yoel appeared on the Ariel Helwani show, where he openly expressed interest in taking on Darren Till as his next opponent, before eventually setting his sights on a possible bout with Jake Paul. Yoel made it clear that after seeing Till's recent knockout performance against Luke Rockhold, he believes a fight between the two of them would be highly entertaining and something fans would love to see. He spoke about how much he enjoyed watching Till's boxing skills, and in his eyes, that's the matchup that excites him most right now. Yoel didn't stop there. He explained that he's always had his eyes on Jake Paul as well. In his mind, the path forward is simple. Step 1, beat Darren Till. Step 2, take on Jake Paul in a huge crossover fight that would grab the world's attention. He believes that once he gets past Till, the hype for Yoel versus Jake Paul will explode, because fans everywhere want to see someone shut Jake Paul down. Yoel said he's not rushing into things, he's taking his time and letting it all play out step by step. For him, this is about building excitement, giving the fans what they want, and delivering the kind of show that leaves people talking. But as soon as Yoel's comments started spreading, Darren Till wasted no time firing back with a brutal response on X. Till completely dismissed Yoel's callout and tore into him with some of his most savage trash talk yet. He wrote, "Yo, shut your fat old mouth. Think I give a damn about you nowadays? Come over to boxing and I'll leave your fat juice head on the canvas." Till went on to say that he's been told to stop calling out older fighters like Yoel, and that he doesn't even want the fight in the first place. He mocked Yoel as nothing more than an old-age pensioner, a bus pass dependent, and told him not to even mention his name again. Till didn't just stop at Yoel either. He went on a full-blown rant, taking shots at multiple names all in one go. He called Mike Perry a bum, Yoel's manager a bum, his brother a bum, and even dragged Ariel into it by calling him a little instigator bum. The message from Till was loud and clear. He doesn't want anything to do with Yoel Romero, and he has no patience for people trying to use his name to build their own fights. His words were sharp, filled with venom, and absolutely designed to shut down any talk of this matchup moving forward. This fiery exchange between Yoel and Till has definitely caught attention across the combat sports world. On one side, Yoel is calm, respectful, and focused on building big fights, aiming to put on entertaining matchups for fans, while also keeping his eye on a massive payday against Jake Paul. On the other side, Till is fiery, dismissive, and making it very clear he's not interested, instead using his platform to roast Yoel and anyone else tied to the idea. Whether this back and forth actually leads anywhere remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure, Till has once again reminded everyone why he's one of the most outspoken and unfiltered voices in combat sports. Moving on to another news, Dana White seems ready to let go of old grudges, even with longtime critic Ariel Helwani. For years, Helwani has been openly critical of the UFC and its leadership, and in return White has never held back his disdain toward the journalist. What was once a mutually beneficial friendship slowly turned into public animosity. But during a recent appearance on the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul, the UFC CEO surprised many fans by saying he's open to squashing the beef with Helwani. White explained that, despite the bad blood, he doesn't see the point in holding on to it forever. He even pointed out that Helwani had once questioned whether the UFC had a superstar problem. White chuckled and asked, "Who's the genius that said that?" When told it was Helwani, White responded, "How's he doing? He's doing well, good." The tone quickly shifted from hostility to a more reflective one, as White admitted he was also upset about how the relationship fell apart. He acknowledged that maybe, just maybe, there could be a way to work things out. "We should probably all get back together," he said, hinting at the possibility of burying the hatchet. The conversation didn't stop there. White also addressed Logan's brother, Jake Paul, who has had his fair share of issues with the UFC. Over the years, Jake has taken countless shots at the promotion, even releasing a diss track about Dana himself. Yet, surprisingly, White claimed he doesn't hate Jake either. White described Jake as someone obsessed with talking about the UFC, always bringing it up no matter what. He mentioned that Jake and his team, including the Warlock, have been involved in legal battles and are now pushing for a fight with Gervonta Davis. Despite all the chaos, White still refused to paint Jake as an enemy. "I don't hate your brother," he told Logan directly. "Your brother's out there doing his thing." When asked if the relationship could ever be mended, White was realistic. He didn't promise friendship or anything deeper, but he said being cordial was always possible. He reminded everyone that the UFC is part of the fight business, a world where harsh words are thrown around constantly. Lots of mean things are said, he admitted, but insisted that if he truly disliked someone, he wouldn't hesitate to say it outright. "If I didn't like your brother, I'd say I can't stand your brother, and I wouldn't be shy about it." The way White spoke showed a rare side of him, less combative and more open to the idea of reconciliation, even if it's just for the sake of moving forward. This softer stance on both Ariel Helwani and Jake Paul highlights a shift in Dana White's approach. For years, he has been known for being unapologetically blunt and dismissive of his critics, but now he appears more willing to acknowledge past conflicts and consider moving past them. Whether these relationships will ever truly heal or not, it's clear that Dana White is at least open to letting go of old feuds, something few expected to hear from him. Moving on to another news, Michael Chandler strongly believes that he's closer than ever to finally stepping into the octagon with Conor, and not just anywhere, but potentially at the historic White House fight card. In his recent interview with MMA Fighting, Chandler explained how things are shaping up behind the scenes and why this matchup feels like it's right on the horizon. He admitted that for a long time he warned fans not to bet on Conor's return, but now his outlook has changed. In his own words, in his heart of hearts, he believes he will be fighting Conor at the White House, and according to him, it makes perfect sense for multiple reasons. Chandler pointed out that first and foremost, he wants that White House card. If the opponent ends up being Conor, that would make it even more special. He stressed the fact that they have some unfinished business, a storyline that has been building ever since their rivalry sparked during The Ultimate Fighter. He said he has respect for Conor and Conor has respect for him, but both know there is still something left unresolved between them. Chandler mentioned how Conor once posted an AI-generated image of the two of them, which he described as a meme, but it carried a message. Conor also called him out on Twitter, saying they had unfinished business. Chandler sees this as undeniable proof that the fight makes sense and needs to happen. He added that they would be the only pair from The Ultimate Fighter in the same weight class who never actually fought. To him, that makes this matchup even more important, not just for the fans but for history. Chandler emphasized his reliability, reminding everyone that he has never pulled out of a fight and has never missed weight. For an event as big as the White House card, the UFC needs fights they can count on, and Chandler sees himself as one of the most dependable fighters in the sport. He made it clear that if he can physically walk to the octagon, he will fight. Once that cage door closes, he's gonna put on a show for the fans, no excuses, no doubts. Chandler believes the timing is lining up perfectly. He mentioned hearing comments from David Feldman, who works closely with Conor and BKFC, as well as some inside sources that confirmed the same thing. With Conor recently withdrawing from his push to run for president of Ireland, Chandler believes that has shifted Conor's focus back to training and fighting. He explained that every fighter, when they start their journey, wants the biggest fights, the brightest lights, and the most eyeballs watching. That has always been Conor's brand, and it's something Chandler respects because he wants the exact same thing. Chandler reminded fans of Conor's history, how he has broken pay-per-view records and headlined some of the biggest spectacles the sport has ever seen. That's the energy he thrives on, and that's exactly what this White House card represents. Chandler said that when the announcement about the card was first made, Conor threw out some smoke and mirrors, a little banter online, but Chandler is convinced there's something real there. For him, if there was ever a fight that would bring Conor back, it's this one, and the White House stage makes all the sense in the world. Moving on to another news, Ben Askren has shared an important update on his health and recovery journey following his double lung transplant. He opened up about how things have been progressing and what challenges he's been facing along the way. According to him, overall he's doing well, but there's still a sense of frustration because his breathing hasn't improved as quickly as he had hoped. Sitting in his doctor's office, which he visits almost every week, he decided to combine this health check-in with his usual Mental Monday update, giving fans a deeper look into both his physical and mental state during this recovery phase. He explained that while he's mostly healthy right now and there isn't much dramatic happening like there was earlier this summer, the slow progress has been mentally tough. One of the biggest challenges he's dealing with at the moment is that his breathing has plateaued. Despite all the effort he's putting into the process, he hasn't seen much of an increase in his lung performance recently, and that has tested his patience. However, being an athlete and coach himself, Askren was quick to remind not only his audience but also himself of something very important. Progress doesn't always work in a straight line. He went on to say that we all like to imagine improvement as something that happens consistently, where every unit of work equals 1 unit of results, moving up in a nice, straight, predictable line. But in reality, that's rarely how progress actually unfolds, whether in sports, recovery, or life in general. Instead, it comes in plateaus. Sometimes you work and see little change, and then suddenly, there's a jump forward. You reach a new level, then plateau again, and eventually, another jump comes. This cycle can be frustrating because it feels like you're stuck, but those plateaus are often the foundation for the next leap forward. Askren reflected on the irony of having to apply his own advice now. For years, he's told his athletes and students about this exact concept, encouraging them not to get discouraged during those periods when progress feels invisible. Now, during his own recovery, he finds himself living that same lesson. It's a reminder that while patience is difficult, it's essential, especially when dealing with something as serious as a lung transplant recovery. He admitted that it's not always easy to accept, but he's learning to focus on the bigger picture. The slow weeks don't mean failure, they're just part of the process. The way he sees it, this journey is less about immediate results and more about building long-term improvement, step by step. While it may not be the linear progress he hoped for, he remains optimistic that those breakthrough moments will come, just like they always do in sports training and in life. For now, Askren continues to follow his routine of weekly doctor visits, pushing forward with determination and keeping his mindset steady. He knows that with consistency, patience, and resilience, those plateaus will eventually give way to another jump in progress, and that's what keeps him motivated as he works through this challenging phase of his recovery. That's it from MMA Pulse News. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.